Welcome back. As we earlier said, we're going to be taking a comprehensive look over the important visit that was taken by the head of state, His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, to France, and the most important highlights and the outcome of this visit. He was generously and received with respect, huge respect, as we've seen in the media outlets, by the French President Macron, and details will be unfolded in this very important interview with Dr. Zeinab Nawar. She's here live with us in the studio, our economic expert and a professor in one of the prominent universities in Egypt. Good morning, Dr. Nawar.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you doing?
Doing fine.
You're staying safe. Let's talk about the Egyptian-French relations in general. Of course, the business relations and economic relations are political also relations. They are detached. So how important is the Egyptian-French economic relations?
The importance of the Egyptian-French economic relations, and we are talking about relations since decades, and we are talking about a strategic relation, which is very and deep also, strategic and deep relation. For the French government and the French people, they do like to support and to help Egypt. If you went to France, actually I had a course in Montpellier, an Institute of Development, 10 years ago. You see how the French, they like to develop other countries. They have this sense of developing and supporting countries, and especially for Egypt, because of the culture, of course, ties, and also the historical background and the common background we have between Egypt and France. So what actually had, what we saw from the French government lately, a lot of support. If we talk about, of course, trade, there is a trade between Egypt and France. There is a lot of aid we are receiving, and economic aid from France. And this aid is targeted to different economic sectors. So it's a way that the French people and the French government are trying to support Egypt and trying to support the Egyptian government. In terms of trade, we talk about $2.8 billion in terms of exports and imports. Of course, we are hoping that we would like to export more to France than what we are importing from them. We talk about concessional aid and concessional loans of about $1 billion. We talk about a lot of what we call a technical aid. Of course, the construction of the underground metro. We all know that the French, those who mainly helped us in terms of providing us with the technical expertise. So when you talk about development, they support us in sectors which is actually help us to achieve economic development and economic growth, whether it's in trade, whether it's in development, whether it's in economic aid, concessional loans. All of this, what we call the economic cooperation between Egypt and France.
Right. The timing of the visit is very important. Always President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have, let us say, distinguished talent in choosing the timing of his visits to countries. He chose a very significant time to be able to be in contact with the French leadership. So talk to us about the timing of the visit and the significance of that particular visit after a recent visit by President Macron to Egypt.
Yes, and the visit actually of the President Fattah al-Sisi this time, it has a main political target actually. The timing also of the visit came in the time that I see it's some sort of what happened of the cartoon that was not telling unpleasant things about Prophet Muhammad. And how the President Fattah al-Sisi, in one of his speeches, he explained to Macron how, when you are just respecting human rights, how you should also respect the religious rights and to deal with this sensitive issue. Actually, I felt this was a very smart from our president, that you explain to others, you explain to different cultures, different points of views, and instead of just having a chaos, or, and I'm sorry to tell this, and also have these types of sanctions and all what the other countries had thought about. This is not the issue. It's about how to talk with them, how they should respect us, and how we guarantee that this will not occur and happen again. This is number one. Number two, of course, there is also, if we talk about Rafale fighter jets, and it's the it's type of the agreement, and that Egypt is going to buy this Rafale fighter jets. Of course, if we talk about weapons and supporting Egypt, France also is one of the biggest importers of Egypt. We used to import weapons from France. Also part of this visit, it come to be it has a political side, talking about the interest of the Mediterranean countries, and also the process of gas and the resources of gas exploration in the Mediterranean and the east of Mediterranean. All of these are very important political issues, and it come on the tops of the agenda of the Mediterranean countries, especially the European ones. So the President Fattah al-Sisi actually highlighted a lot of things in this visit: political aspects, military aspects. This also entails economic aspects, and also deepening the Egyptian-French strategic relationship, which is very important, and also have a window of discussion with them about what they had done, and to ensure that this will not happening again in terms of the cartoon that was telling unpleasant things about Prophet Muhammad.
And also President Sisi had a very important speech in which he made it clear about how Egypt looks and regards differences in religion and respects other nations and different beliefs, and how Egyptian people have history with civilization concerning differences in religion.
Yes, and the President also talks about terrorism and fighting terrorism.
Exactly.
And how also Egypt is doing a lot of effort to fight terrorism, plus ensure economic stability and economic achievement. And this is what actually is happening now. So it's very important from the President Fattah al-Sisi that he is highlighting to the French President and also to the international community what actually happening in Egypt and what we are doing, which is very important when we are later going to negotiate with them, also to highlight and to tell them what's actually is going on. This is very important for the Egyptian interests and for our political and even economic interests. And if we are looking for more FDIs after of course the crisis of Corona will be ended, so giving this international messages and also on continuous basis, it's very important for us.
Let's talk about the most important files that were taken in that. I know you talked about the stops and the highlights of the visit, but the most important files that were prepared in the agenda for this visit.
The most important one, of course, it was the political issue of Libya, and also what the Erdogan is doing in Turkey, and all of these types of what we say chaos. Erdogan is trying to do it in the region. This was one of the top issues. The gas also, and the rights of each country to have some sort of gas exploration, doing more looking for gas within their borders. This is very important because it's the rights for each country is to look for their resources. It's not the right for a country that doesn't have the right in this type of resource just to get it, or to do a mutual agreement with whatever unknown or unrecognized military leaders in Libya. This is not right. So what is actually the President is trying to bring on the table, the rights for looking for that Egypt has to look to its resources in terms of gas resources. What had been done by Erdogan is not properly right. looking for more mutual benefit between Egypt and France, having a discussion with the French side that what happened toward these types of cartoon was not right, having a negotiation and agreement on points that is related to mutual interest between Egypt and France, which is very important.
Right, and also if we talk about the economic relations between the two countries, of course, Egypt have a strong bond with France when it comes to economic relations, and there are also mutual interests between the two countries. Also, Egypt is a good market for France. So if you'd like to be shedding light over that very particular, very important file. Economic
we have here in Egypt, we have about 160 French companies working in Egypt. One of these companies is Total. Of course, they are working in oil and mainly in gas also. Also, the French side, I think the French side is they are so interested for Egypt in terms of investment and foreign direct investment. What we are doing now in ports, enhancement in ports, and also for the Suez Canal economic zone and Suez Canal corridor, that we are trying to attract more investors, and I think that the French investors could be or could be invited for this type of investment in Egypt. We are hoping that we would like to increase our exportation also to France. We do import from France, of course, Rafale fighter jets, medicine, and other products, and we mainly export.
Of course, huge companies
and
cosmetics.
Yes, but recently it became less.
And medical also industry,
of course. It became less recently because that we would like to encourage exportation. I would like to work on the local components of our products versus the foreign components, especially if we're talking about luxury products, which is, we see it as a luxury product, which is cosmetics, and of course for fashion, now we have started to have Egyptians companies working on fashion and clothing and all of this.
And prevailing even, reaching United States and Europe and most of the fashion capitals, and Egyptian designers are prevailing. Celebrities are wearing, which is very important. They're good ambassadors to us worldwide. Celebrities are wearing, the works of some fashion designers, female fashion designers in the United States. Very popular celebrities, and even the First Lady in Egypt, she is wearing also the products of Egyptian fashion designers. She's not wearing any foreign fashion designers.
Yes, and we should encourage our local manufacturer. This is very important.
Because they are good. They have good taste also. It's a good industry here in Egypt. This is the booming future industry, which is going to be so booming worldwide, the Egyptian fashion industry.
We are hoping so. A subject that the Egyptian manufacturer, they should meet the quality, and also they should work on branding for their types of clothing that they are manufacturing. What else that we are receiving from France? Actually, we used to have also, if we talk about the economic cooperation between Egypt and France, aid, and we had received aid in agriculture in part in a certain period. We used to have a lot of aid to support from the Dutch and also from the French government. Also, we used to have some sort of aid for supporting the small and medium enterprises. So we consider that France is the fourth largest country in terms of providing Egypt with economic aid and financial aid, which is very supportive, and which is very good indicator of how we do have a very deep and strategic relations between the two countries. So we do receive from France a lot of economic support and also political support, given the issue of Turkey and Libya, and also a military support, given what we are going to buy from them of the Rafale fighter jets. Also the importance of the timing of this visit, that the president is going to finalize this deal of the Rafale jets before the start of Biden to his
tenure?
yes, in USA. You remember when I just came in, I think there was before the elections and the US elections, when I just had a view that actually for the Trump administration it was better for Egypt in terms of interest. So I think that there is a political thing about this timing of this visit, that the president would like to finalize this deal, which is very important for Egypt.
At this timing. So the France's participation in implementing major projects in Egypt, such as transportation, for example. Do we have a good space of French participation in the field of transportation?
Yes, we had. Earlier for the underground metro, the French had helped us a lot. It's not about money, it's about providing the technical support, which is much important than having money, because if you have just the aid or the financial aid and you don't have the expertise, so you mean that if each time they would like to construct another new line for the underground, so you have to ask them to come to you. But the French actually, and they are famous about this, the French aid or the French technical aid, they come to Egypt with like what I call a manifesto, telling you the steps of the work, giving the right expertise to the Egyptian engineers. So once they are leaving, so they just ensure that all of this technical support have been received properly by the Egyptian side. And this is the most nice and important thing about it, the French, about the French aid. So if we talk about the French cooperation, so we are just hoping that if there will be more cooperation, especially in the transportation sector, and also in energy sector, because the French, of course, have an expertise in this, and also they are so advanced. So what we want to learn from them is to get the technology, to get the know-how from the French. Of course, their support, either this support will be financial or technical, this of course will add a lot to us. And this is what we should seek to get from them. To get the technical expertise plus any, if they would like to provide us with unconditional aid, of course.
What are the most important and suitable joint fields of cooperation that could boost and encourage and empower the economic development in both countries? Of course, France needs Egypt definitely in some technical fields and some other fields that Egypt is distinguished with. So from your own point of view, how do you see the joint cooperation in those fields that could empower the economic development in both countries?
If Egypt, if we just continue getting this type of technical and financial support from France for main sectors like the transport sector, or for example small and medium enterprises sector, if we'd like to get from them, so definitely this will help us in growth and economic development. So when there is an economic development for the Mediterranean countries and for a strategic country like Egypt, this also comes with the interest of France, because at the end, France, they want stability in the region, they want also progress for the countries in the region. So once there is an economic development and economic growth in Egypt, this actually has come into the interest of France. So if I talk about Egypt, we can benefit from the French government of getting, in terms of economics, more aid, more technical expertise. I do hope that we want to export more. Actually, during the Corona lockdown, we exported a lot of agricultural products to Europe and to France. We want to continue this type of exportation of this agricultural product, and to continue also the expansion of exports into France and into Europe. And also we continue getting the technical expertise from them and getting more tourists. Actually, we want to get more French tourists because of now of Corona, and of course that the lockdown in Europe, and they will not come to us. So also the expansion of this important sector and getting more French tourists into our lands, also this will help us a lot. So we can benefit, Egypt can benefit a lot from from our strategic relation with France. We can get a lot of benefits, because the relation and the strategic relation between Egypt and France is not about economic, it's about culture, it's about history, it's about respect, it's about French people who truly respects us and respects our history, which is very important, and we can invest on this to get more economic benefits and economic aid from the French.
Right, and also French tourism is very much interested in the cultural tourism here in Egypt, and it has its own season.
Yes.
So
yes.
we should be working on this.
We should
You're
work
very right.
more on this. If you travel to France, when they know that you are an Egyptian, they truly respect you. They like us. They like our culture. The French people, they do like the Egyptians, and
they're looking for a specific
this
type of tourism. French people, I mean, every type of tourist is looking, because we have all types of tourism. Talking about tourism, so I mean, tourism is a very wide spectrum that would need another episode on the breakfast show, on a promise that you come and visit us.
Okay, of course.
Of course, Dr.zeinab Nawar, you are a prominent professor in one of the prominent universities in Egypt, and you are our economic expert. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to take a short break, and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.